want to point out, polymorph lasts an hour. I'm still a T-Rex.
You are still a T-Rex. You will still be a T-Rex when we get back, but we're going to go ahead and end it with this.
I'm looking forward to the Echo as a T-Rex art.
There are 3 more toss of coins.
I'll put those into the thing, but for now, let's go ahead and jump to the out of character. Like I said, I know that these 2 encounters were very long, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the post-game show right now, and we'll try to keep it fairly brief.
Oh my god.
2 high diff encounters.
Yes. Today was supposed to be very difficult, and it was, and you all handled it spectacularly. Okay, so let's start with the toss of coins. I'll make sure to get those in there. Okay, how many were there?
3 more?
3.
Done. Okay, so here we are in the post-game show. Folks who are watching, if you have anything you want to say, anything you want to ask, anything you want clarification on, please go ahead and let us know in the chat. This is the time to interact with us. We're going to go ahead and continue to interact with each other because I feel like we've got a lot to debrief on. But if you want to get in on this conversation, now is the time. Get your questions in, get your comments in. We'll read them out, we'll answer them. Thank you for being here up to this point. Who wants to kick us off?
Hey, Rob, what the fuck? What do you mean Kreitha lost her connection to Durgan?
I'm really not. That's not good. That's making me, yeah.
That's her emotional support dwarven ghost.
I will say, now that we're in the post show, that Kreitha is going to get a chance to make a decision. I'm not taking your most powerful magical item away without some level of consent. So you will have a chance at the end of, or you'll have a chance in the next session to figure stuff out. And I don't want to give anything more than that because spoilers. Just know that I have something really special in mind for next session.
Oh my god. Yeah, but that was like a gut punch at the end of this. Like everything else was like crazy, but I wasn't really expecting that. And so when you actually, had him say, I may go away, put me in the forge. And of course, Kreitha, the first thing she would think of as I may go away would be, I'm going to kill you. You're like, if I put you in the forge, you're going to disappear. Because in her mind,
that little bit of interaction there.
The forge is meant to, like in her head, because she knows a bit about forging now, but in an emotional reaction, she's going to go back to her first thoughts, even though she has learned and has been forging with Durgadin for the past 2 weeks?
For a little while, yeah.
Her first reaction is the idea that these forges are very powerful and it's going to destroy the weapon and it's going to destroy Durgadin. And that scared her a lot.
It's a reasonable assumption, almost like you're feeling the feelings that I wanted you to feel at this particular point in the encounter.
Right. Your manipulation work.
You can't be a storyteller without being a bit of a manipulator, right? Like that's kind of a thing. Psychanthrope asks, what does Calder's polymorph spell look like? Because we didn't describe that. Also, does Echo currently have feathers? So let's start with Jeff. What does your polymorph spell actually look like when you cast it?
We have established that of what his polymorph looks like. It's more that his magical essence reaches into the shadows of someone and changes the shape of the shadow, and then the body obeys.
I love it so much.
So it's more like their shadow suddenly swells and explodes, and by the time they realize, and by the time like camera pans up to the character again, it's a T-Rex.
And Gale, this T-Rex, feathered?
Yeah, definitely. He is a big, fluffy dinosaur, and I think like a verdant green.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm picturing like full on like tropical parrot levels of flamboyant color.
I love it. I love it.
But like, man.
We've discussed like this is a theoretical possibility, but Like Echo is like, it's an emergency healing tactic because if you are low HP, turning into a T-Rex gives you a T-Rex's HP.
I just want to say, Echo was both woozy from the being unconscious and didn't know what you were talking about, and I had completely forgotten about this plan.
Oh no, I figured that immediately when you went, what?
Let's talk about how much growth that Kreitha has been granted over this long time, that she didn't immediately panic, freak out, and be like, "What the fuck?" When
Kreitha's seen some
T-Rex.
shit at this point. Like Echo turning into a T-Rex is like low bar when it comes to the things that she's seen
I
at this
have a
point.
feeling it's like somewhere like 5 or 6 steps back in the queue, and like at some later point we're gonna get a wait, you turned into a T-Rex.
Yeah, but it's like it's no like early encounter. What the fuck is up with this table that's trying to kill me?
Right.
You know.
Now, at this point,
Okay.
T-Rexes are fairly more common in your brain.
Oh yeah, I know, and she knows dinosaurs, so hey.
Well, and I that sequence of the fact that it was, put me in the thing, she shot Echo free, put Durgadin in the thing, and then the next turn, Echo just get fucking chopped almost in half.
Yeah. Like
Just-
I was gonna try and get to you. If that hadn't happened, my next goal was to actually try and get to you and try and do a medicine to stabilize you as best I could. I'm not good at it, but I figured something.
From a meta perspective, like a peek behind the curtain, I was going for a survival encounter here. I was absolutely willing to kill somebody if necessary, if that's the way the dice went. That wasn't necessarily the goal, but I knew that there would be a time limit on this encounter. Fun fact, the first thing that needed to happen to start the resolution of this encounter was indeed someone saying the password and waking Durgadin up. He also would have, there were 1 or 2 other situations in which he would have woken up.
I am shocked I remembered the password.
That's
that was
why I wanted to
proud of
reward
you.
you for it. I was legitimately, when I was getting into this game, I was like, if they remember and use the password, that will kick off the solution, because that is impressive. That was months ago.
It was my first thought when we started this, and I looked back through my notes, and I'm like, wait, Echo doesn't know
Echo
about
doesn't
that.
know it. I knew that we would be relying on probably Calder, because I don't expect Kreitha to remember a single word from way back.
Wasn't I also like being possessed at the time?
Probably, yeah. Jeff, what were you saying?
I have a confession. That was a shot in the dark, but it felt a shot in the dark for the memory. I was taking it, I was like, ball crash. Why does that keep coming up in my brain? That's probably the password. Shot
Excellent.
In the dark.
Absolutely excellent. That is exactly how I wanted that to go. Like, there were other situations that would have kicked off that 3-round, like survive for 3 rounds and then it ends. But saying the password was the absolute perfect way to start it off. Yeah.
So, I was a little panicking still over Echo at the end there. When you said Vic shifted, is that into shifter form or into werewolf form?
Shifter form.
Yeah.
Okay.
So medium form. The second evolution, not the final form.
Cat's not out of the bag yet.
Yeah.
The awoo is not out of the bag.
This is something that you've seen before already, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
you've all seen Vic shift a little bit. Yeah.
Because when she was having a conversation about tusks.
Yeah. No. I was just wondering if we finally got, the other people finally got to see the wolf, and not yet. Not yet. By the way,
go ahead.
I found it incredibly funny that Echo, after being given the immovable rod, was the one heading for the cliff. Because that's what he would have done. When he went over, he would have pulled it out and click,
boom,
held on.
And in fact, you could have done that as you were being washed away. Like, you could have pulled out the rod and just held it there and like held it against the current. Like, that could have happened. But I like the way it turned out. Like, I think the way it turned out is perfect. And Echo wouldn't necessarily instinctively know to use an item that he just acquired.
But I was only going to pull it out if he went into.
If he went over, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
that was all very satisfying.
I
Yeah.
promised that we would try to keep this post-game show a little bit shorter because I know, again, 2 very big and very long and arduous combat encounters. So why don't we go ahead, go around and do our usual. We'll go ahead and answer any more questions. If you have any more questions or comments, chat. We will continue to pause and take a look at those. But for now, I want each of you to think about one particular thing out of all the things that just happened that you had specific fun with. And I would like you to think about another player character that you want to give a shout out to. And I feel like we could probably start with Gale on this one.
I was looking forward to doing some chomping as a T-Rex, but we didn't quite get there. So
We'll get there.
Oh, it's coming. It's going to happen.
What I had fun with was that one, like, running across the water into the head spear moment against the dragon. Like, I enjoy getting to be a bit of a badass with Echo. And I also enjoy him getting the shit kicked out of him, which happened. This is another combat where Echo has gone down.
There was a lot of damage done to the team. Like, when it comes down to it, only, I think, 2 people dropped unconscious, and then Calder managed to avoid dropping unconscious. But the sheer amount, the number of damage that happened to the group overall was very high, probably higher than any other pair of encounters that we've had so far.
And, and for my
soak it.
More damage has happened during this session to Calder than the sum total of the rest of the campaign.
My acknowledgement will definitely go out to Jeff and Calder for, despite the dice hating you tonight, you pulled it out several different times. Very clutch moves.
That's
so
a thing.
I appreciate you sticking with it.
I don't rely on attack rolls for this reason.
Yeah, you can't rely on chance, especially against enemies like this. And despite some very, very difficult dice rolls, you still had a lot of really good ideas, and you still ultimately, along with everybody else, were able to come up with a solution. I really enjoyed that. Let's go around to M. What's something you had fun with? What's a player character you want to shout out?
I had fun shoveling money and shit into a bag.
That was so good. I loved that scene so much.
I want you to know, I designed this fucking bag so that I could prop open the opening so that I could easily shovel shit into it.
So it's like a tent flat. It has a little tent pop up right in the opening so that it'll hold itself open like a dustpan. And you can just shovel stuff in.
I have a little broom that goes with it.
And again, you provided the last little bit of intimidation that got Nightscale to finally back down instead of taking another full attack. So that was super awesome, and it netted you just a shit ton of treasure.
That was good. I also had a good time just being like, you have some heroism. You're doing great, sweetie.
Jeff, same questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
And the thing that I wanted to shout out at somebody I was really down for the Echo and Merryweather tag team stuff that was happening. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Dope. You got the broom, right? No.
no, fuck that shit. That broom is gone and broken at this point. You know that.
It dropped.
It's gone and broken. A big ass thing stepped in that area. Pretty sure.
It's magic.
Maybe it'll be fine. We'll see. Jeff, same questions.
Let's see. I think my favorite moment was I cannot describe the sensation that went through my brain when I was like, oh yeah, strength of the grave check, roll nat 20.
Yeah.
My jaw dropped.
That was clutch. That was so clutch.
And this is the first time that's ever come up because Calder throughout the various fights he's been in just doesn't take damage.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten nicked and scratched at a few places, never anything serious until this moment.
You've all been very good about protecting your spellcasters in general throughout the course of this entire campaign.
Oh yeah, and so the getting just curb stomped by a creature whose CR is twice his level felt appropriate. It literally took something that strong to bring him down. So that felt really, really nice. The shout out moment I have definitely has to go to the ever unfolding morality play that is the universe just stomping on Kretha's feelings. Kretha's usually pretty fine physically, but just emotionally, that child needs some therapy.
So much therapy.
I agree entirely. Speaking of Kretha, go ahead.
Yeah.
What was that, Gale?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Speaking of Kretha, Jen, why don't you go ahead and answer the same question? Something you had fun with, someone you want to shout out.
So I had a lot of fun just beating down, like getting to just do damage with, Durgadin, and then with my false Durgadin.
I'm really happy that you did so much damage, and you kind of took the spotlight for a while, especially against Nightscale, right before potentially losing your weapon.
Him.
Yeah, right before potentially losing your weapon. Like, yeah. it feels like Durgadin is potentially going out in a blaze of glory. We'll see what happens next session, but it feels like a very appropriate pair of encounters for Durgadin to go out on, if indeed that's what happens.
Yeah. I also did enjoy my feelings getting manipulated. I am one of those players. I am, though. It's not, next session is going to be crazy. Like, I knew this session was going to be crazy. I forgot about the second encounter. I knew about Nightscale. I didn't realize we were going to go straight up against, some crazy golems.
This is why you take short. This is why you take short rests after your fights.
Yeah. I didn't take any short rests. But to be fair, if I look at, hold on, there's my frogs. Trying to pull my. No, I don't want to do that. I want to look at my sheet. Thank you. If I look at my sheet, they're really loud.
They're very loud. They're very excited about this game session.
They are. If you think about it, I've cast Hunter's Mark twice, Goodberry, and Magic Weapon and Pass Without Trace. Not a single one of those spells were an attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
I still had 2 second-level spell slots left. So, I didn't really need, I guess, the rest. So.
Well, things might not be over yet in the Forge of Fury.
Things might not be over yet.
We shall very much see.
It's probably going to get real interesting, yes. But for at this time, it's really hard to choose who I'm like really, really want to call out, because I kind of want to call out everybody else. But I think what I'm actually going to do this session is call out Rob for running what is 2 very complex fights. They're more higher, stuff, and you were also running NPCs. So good job. Thanks for it.
I will fully acknowledge that I was both very much looking forward to today and also kind of dreading it, because yes, I knew that these 2 specific encounters would happen, and I had no idea how they were going to go.
I have a very specific question for you, Rob.
What's that?
How many HP did Nightscale have left?
Nightscale had just a sliver. I'll have to go back and look at it.
My question is, was it single digits?
I think he had 15 HP out of the 165 that he started with.
We did some damage.
Yeah. He would have gotten 1 more full attack off on Kretha, and then you would have dropped him, and the negotiation might have gone very differently in that regard.
Would he have done his breath weapon?
I described it as though he was about to do his breath weapon. Yeah. He may have just run forward and taken a multi-attack. We'll never know. Yeah. I was still in the midst of making that decision.
He would have hurt me really bad if he had done the multi-attack, but I do have that react option. So I probably would have done that if he had done the breath. If I had realized it, I could have done that the first time.
I'm just happy I plugged the exit.
That was a react spell, not something that I casted before or stuff. That's a reaction spell.
Yeah.
I was reading it later, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I could have
Absorb
done that.
Elements is an excellent spell, and yes, anytime you're about to take a massive amount of elemental damage, you should definitely consider casting that.
Yeah.
But Nightscale would not have necessarily known that you could have done that. So and the breath weapon would have hit both you and Echo. So that might have been a good plan.
would've-
I don't, like I said, I don't know. It didn't work out that way. I had so much fun in this very stressful and difficult to run session. This may have been the biggest challenge that I've had since Belak. I think Belak might have been a more challenging combat for me to keep track of, but this was, despite the fact that the number of enemies was very low, it was a very, very tough, challenging encounter to run and to balance when I was building it in the first place. Thomas was very much intended to be super useful against Nightscale, but not super useful against Iron Golems, because it turns out Iron Golems are super duper magic resistant. So he was built to be a very much support bard. And in fact, spoiler, if one of you had actually died, I did have him packing Revivify. So there was the possibility that if someone died, he would have been able to bring it back, and that would have been another really cool thing that ended up not happening.
If he survived.
But yeah, and then he took those attacks at the very end. I intended him to be as hands-off as possible because he's a level 10 bard, and I wanted him to not be... I didn't want him to eclipse you, right? I wanted him to be a support. I did not want him to take the spotlight. So that's why I gave him the spread of spells that I did, and that's why he was more or less useless against the Iron Golems, because I wanted you all to figure out that fight on your own. That was less of a fight and more of a survival puzzle, right? You find the right sequence of things to do, and you do them, and you survive in the meantime. I gotta shout out every single one of you. I loved all of what happened here. I love Echo's brashness and aggression, which is always on display and always wonderful. I love the sheer audacity of taking a dragon's horde while the fight is still happening. Absolutely love it. Calder took so many lumps but still managed to be an ultimate badass during this entire encounter, utilizing most of your spell slots very creatively and well. And of course, Kretha, Jen, I only regret that I didn't make you actively cry. That's the only regret that I have, is that I
feel like that'll be coming.
that I did not make you, Jen, the player, cry. I should have done a heartfelt farewell as he was melting.
Oh no!
But
that would have been very hard.
But I know I tugged at those heartstrings.
Thinking about it makes me want to cry.
I know I tugged at those heartstrings, and I'm very, very glad. Because the two of you
means a lot to like Kretha and a lot to me. Like she like that. It's so crazy. I mean, like from where she started to here, this is just bonkers.
Yeah.
Like just.
I'm glad I asked him the question about dwarven culture on the way in and didn't wait until like after.
I'm interested to see where that goes as well. That was the little thing that I didn't mention in the recap, that you were like, how do you woo a dwarf?
A dwarven king. Let's be specific.
How do you court a king? He's got the wooing down. He wants to know what the fuck is up with courtships.
They've already wooed.
Okay, so we are coming up on the 4-hour mark. Let's do a quick round of plugs. You can either do it verbally or in the chat or both, up to you. We're gonna do the same order. So Gale, M, Jeff, Jen, be quick because we should be wrapping up in the next 2 minutes or so. Gale, who are you? Where can people find your artwork?
There's a Tumblr, A Measure of Separation. I'll put it in the chat. It's where I put all my fan art and writings, and stuff may or may not be canon, but check it out.
M.
I'm on Silver Key on all the places. I'm also very tired.
You and me both. Jeff.
Hi, I am still tired and angry on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me where I do my art.
And real life. Jen, where can we find you? Where can we find your artwork?
I'm Swedish Geekball. I'm also Jennifer Winterrose on Facebook, and I will admit that's where most of my art's been going lately. But keep an eye out, Swedish Geekball.
And you can find us at youtube.com/gamingmathematically, where we put all of our VODs with a couple of week delay. Of course, you can find our VODs right away on Twitch. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at MathDemigod. You can also find me on Patreon and Ko-fi at MathDemigod if you feel like financially supporting the stream and allowing me to make awesome upgrades, all that other good stuff.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. And as a final last sort of thing, as I continue to stream, just note I do have a 25 subscription goal, and if I manage to hit that, then I will be eating this hot chip on stream wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, and I will clip it and I will upload it on all the things. Thank you so much for bearing with us and enjoying this very, very intense D&D session. I feel like it's going to take me a while to get over this one, but I'm going to have to, because we are back next week. Yes, next Tuesday. This was an off week. So next Tuesday, which is the 4th, we have our next session. So please be there. Thank you very much. Chat, say goodbye to the players. Players, say goodbye to the chat.
Good
Bye,
night.
chat. Good
Bye.
night.
T-Rex be upon ye.
Kistrel, I'll see and I'll fix it if I need to. Thank you very much for being here.